The Nothing Phone 1 was well received, and the Phone 2 is supposed to make everything better, with better processor, better camera, better display and better software. But is it worth its higher price? Well, time to find out here on Orbit. Nothing is a design company. I could even feel that when unboxing the device. I mean, look at that USB-C cable. And isn't that the coolest SIM tool ever? The Phone 2 is similar to the Phone 1 in many ways with subtle differences. It has, again, a beautiful boxy matte aluminium frame. And again, I can't deny the similarity to an iPhone because of it. And once again, you can look inside through the glass on the back. Only now the glass is subtly curved on the sides. And it's quite amazing what a difference this makes. The Phone 2 feels a bit thinner, softer and simply more ergonomic. You can see and feel that a lot of time went into the design. Every microphone and antenna strip has been carefully placed. Despite white, there is now a dark blue-gray and I find it very cool. And you have to think about the crazy effort they had to put in, because it's not only a color like on every other phone, they had to order every part on the inside in exactly the same color. When I take a closer look at the back, it's hard to say if it's better than the Phone 1. A few of the shapes are different, the texture is a little bit finer. The aluminium around the cameras is now black instead of silver, and the red video LED is a dash and not longer a dot. The glyph, that's the name of the large LED pattern on the back, has a few more elements. It lights up when messages arrive or someone calls. It now has an automatic brightness based on your environment and it is brighter than before. The glyph can be a bright flashlight and I once made the mistake to look directly into it and now I have the pattern burned into my retina. When I first show people the Nothing Phone, they think it's a gimmick. But then I show them the new features and they usually change their minds. The LED arc up here has 16 elements and so you can see when a timer goes off, for example, or you can see how the volume is set. And when you call an Uber, the LED shows when the car will arrive. But my highlight is something very simple. The strip up here lights up when a message arrives and it stays that way until I look at the display. And I have this set for WhatsApp. And it's super nice to just glance at my phone and know what's going on. But also the ringtones are kind of cool and you can even build your own, including a sound pack from the Swedish House Mafia. Sure, you could say it's kind of silly, but I think it's cool. And I don't think that the glyph revolutionizes the way I use my smartphone, but I would miss it if it was gone. Something that no one can see but our Earth can positively feel is the low CO2 emission. Just 53 kilograms. They even write that on the product packaging. An iPhone 14 Pro with the same storage is 71 kilogram and the Pixel Fold is 93. The reason is many recycled materials. However, I see room for improvement in the water resistance. IP54 is better than nothing, but it only protects against splashes and not submersion. In addition, you are more or less forced to put the device on a table with the display facing down if you want to use the glyph. And that's why I had a deep scratch inside my pre-installed protective film after already 1 hour of using the device. This presented me with a dilemma. Should I remove the screen protector to no longer see the scratch, or should I keep it on so the screen does not get scratched? Well, I removed it and now I have tiny scratches all over my screen and I can see that on every Nothing phone, so I think the product designers have to do something about it. The Phone 2 is slightly larger than the Phone 1 and this is due to the slightly larger display. 6.7 inch instead of 6.55 inch. That's 1mm more in width and 4mm more in height. So really nothing worth talking about. And I almost didn't notice the smaller bezels. I think the higher brightness is the most important. It's 1000 nits full screen and 1600 nits peak. It's a beautiful display with symmetrical bezels and only a tiny hole at the top center. I personally don't know a more beautiful phone from the front. This is what the iPhone will look next year or even the year after that, if we are lucky. It's really fun to watch videos on this display and that's also due to the stereo speakers. And because it's LTPO tech now, the refresh rate can drop from 120 Hz down to 1 Hz. I only was annoyed by small things. The fingerprint sensor is fast, but the location is way too far down. And it's not ultrasonic technology. It's also a shame that Gorilla Glass 5 and not the newer Victus 2 is used. Or that the resolution is only Full HD Plus instead of Quad HD Plus. These are all things that 99.9% of people don't notice, but I do, and I think some of you do too. What I hope everyone will notice is the new processor. The Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 has a 40% faster CPU and about 350% faster GPU than the Phone 1. And someone will probably wonder, well, Kilian, isn't there a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 already? And yes, there is, and yes, it is better, but nothing says it is twice as expensive to buy and not twice as good. So not only they do that, like Honor and Motorola also decided to go with the 8 Plus Gen 1, and I totally get it, it's a great chipset. The chip is extremely strong, energy efficient and stays cool. I have zero complaints about the performance. All games now run on the maximum settings. Everything responds instantaneous. Every animation is fluid. The Phone 2 is in no way inferior to an iPhone 14 Pro or Galaxy S23 Ultra. Since Phone 1 was introduced, the software has evolved a lot. Not only visually, everything fits better to nothing with the fonts and the icons, but also functionally. For example, you can now set handy shortcuts on the lock screen and even place widgets there, and they are even visible in the always on mode. I really like to see the temperature at one glance. In general, widgets are a big thing. Nothing wants you to spend less time inside of the apps. That's why there's an option to change all icons to a monochrome version. If developers themselves provide a version, which surprisingly many do, they look great, but all the other icons become also uniform. Some of them look kind of funny. I actually like the quick settings better than on pure Android because you can do more. There is vibration feedback here and there, and I noticed positively that the vibration motor does not sound as hollow as it did on the predecessor. But one thing annoyed me quite a bit. The display constantly turned on by itself inside of my pocket, and then it activated the flashlight or the camera or entered my PIN incorrectly. And it wasn't just me. Android updates will be available for 3 years and security updates for 4. That's both fully okay, and my feeling is that there will happen a lot to the software in the future. There is a slightly larger battery inside of the slightly larger case, and the processor is more power efficient than before. And while 4700 mAh are nothing glaring, the runtime was excellent. On average, I had 6 to 7 hours of display use, which lasts easily for 1 day and sometimes even 2. Charging is done with 45 watts in 55 minutes from 0 to 100%. I think that's okay, but unfortunately nothing special. The power adapter is also not included in the box. There is wireless charging and reverse charging as well, and it's nicely underlined by the LEDs. There are 2 cameras on the back. The main camera now has a new Sony sensor, and that's something a geek like me loves to hear, and it's the IMX 890. Before it was the 766, so it's 124 times better. Well, not exactly. Actually, it's the same size, it's the same resolution and even the same aperture. But the sensor is faster, and that along with the new processor drastically improves the signal processing. 4000 times more data is processed. Yes, 4000 times. I had to read that up 3 times because I couldn't believe it. Now photos are not fused from 3 JPEGs but from 8 RAW files. And you can see the results here. At the first glance, I think the photos look nice. They are not over-sharpened or saturated, they are not pale or blurry. I did not really take a bad picture per se, but I also did not take one that blew me away. I think this is the definition of average. The ultra-wide angle also has 50 megapixel, an autofocus, and the image quality is okay. There is a macro mode, but not the closest one out there. In harsh backlighting, blue color fringes appear on hard edges, and in low light, photos become blurry much faster than on the main camera. I also noticed a lower dynamic range here. There is no optical zoom, but you can crop into a maximum of 10 times. The result is unusable, but the 2 times zoom is fine. 3 times is a bit borderline. I would love to see a 5 times tele on the next Nothing phone. The selfie camera has a new sensor and it's even bigger than the one on the ultra-wide angle, but unfortunately it has no autofocus. I really like the pictures. Natural sharpness, beautiful colors. They are not inferior to the competition in this respect. The video mode is average as well. You can shoot a maximum of 4K at 60 FPS and you can can use the glyph to brighten up your shots. Here's how I see it. The camera is not the reason why I buy the Phone 2, but it shouldn't be the reason why I don't buy it either. It's fine, and it sometimes takes great pictures, but it's not the level that the Google Pixel can provide. Conclusion: the Nothing Phone 2 is better than the Nothing Phone 1 in every respect, but it's also more expensive on launch, 180 euros more than the predecessor. It's 650 for 128 GB of storage and 700 euros for 256 GB of storage with 12 GB of RAM. That's quite a lot of money, and I wonder who will buy this phone if the predecessor right now is half the price on Amazon. Someone that loves design, someone that loves the software, and someone that is amazed by the glyph. I am a kind of person that digs all of that stuff, but I'm also someone that really values a good camera, and I think the camera is average, but it's not great, and so I will not continue using this phone as my personal daily, but I will miss a few things about it, and I hope that nothing improves with the Phone 3, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. See you in the next one. Bye.